Welcome to Afro Storybook, collective wisdom and revelations from Africa and her diaspora. This is part 5, Nourishment, Food, Music, and Land. Hello, I'm your host, Alexandra loves Irowiosa. By now you might know that I interviewed 9 people from Africa and her diaspora all over the world and asked them the same questions about subjects that I turned into this 7-part offering. This part brings me so much joy because I believe the easiest way and sometimes the most powerful way to connect is through music and food.
I'm going to play a song called Kelema. In English, it's not good to fight. We need to be together to progress. Please, don't kill each other. Every day, problem. Africa. Please, stop, be together. That's the song.
Music is one of the best ways to storytell and keep history alive, and that's true across the entire world. In the background, you can hear Cheka Mala playing for me during our interview, and I was so sad that the audio was too choppy to play the music in full by itself, but it does set a mood. Music can evoke vivid memories of our past and inspire us in how to create our futures. It's a reflection of the environment that the artist making it is in, and sometimes it can help support necessary revolutions. And even better, it can help us remember who we are. And food. Food is the stuff that keeps us going. Some of our most beloved dishes and home cooking is a direct result of the environments that our people have survived and then thrived in. Our most common gathering places as African people is usually around food. Okay, more on that later. Also, in this part of the storybook, I included our chats about land. Land can always nourish us no matter where we are in one way or another, and my guests have some vital wisdom to share about that. Thank you for the awesome music, Sheikh. I believe it turned into a song with my name in it. Let's talk about music with Elaine.
Like, I think dancehall was a thing when I was growing up. Raga, dancehall, with Beanie Man, before that Shabba Ranks, all of these artists were like the big names coming out of, the Diaspora. And now it's Burna Boy and a whole raft of African artists. They're still using reggae type rhythms. This is all our heritage. And I think one of the challenges we have is trying to work out what identity is how do we have equity in the heritage for all? How do we all dip into this diaspora pot to find things that can serve all of us? And that's one of the passions I have running a platform, which is about celebrating the awesome everyday stories of Black men and women, because we have so many losses, we have to count all the wins.
And if you want to know more about Elaine's work or the work of anybody that is in the Afro Storybook, I will post all of that on my podcast website, so you can find it there. Elaine is also a music producer, and I was mesmerized by his unending wall of records shelved behind him during our interview. And during our chat, he called out artists and their contributions from all over the world, from every era that he could think of. His knowledge of music and how it influences us is impressive. I love the way he describes the deep way that we can connect through music and how it can move people.
I live music, so I feel at war because I think we're all wedded to that time when music defined our politics, our love relationships, our dating habits, the parties we were at, the songs we sung to. And as you get older, you do a little less of that, and you remember joy as a time and a music that matched it. And I look for artists that transcend and take me forward with those emotions. Revolution isn't a new thing, and these were revolutionary voices in the time of Malcolm and Martin and that Panther era. And I felt as a very a very good blueprint for how to fight injustice. You know, it was muscular in that you recognize them as men, but their output was artistic, and it was as they said, you know, their words were bullets.
One of the types of music that many of my guests mentioned was Afrobeats. It made me realize how it seems that everyone is listening to music from around the world in some way, whether they know it or not, and loving it. There's so much appreciation and exploration here. Let's listen to Yvette and Andrea.
I can say I love the Caribbean music. I love them. Reggae, all this Caribbean music. I love them. And I can say I love Afrobeats. Afrobeats. It's and then if I'm in my ceremonial spiritual place, then everything turned to a real ceremony music, but the Caribbean music was my first music I fall completely in love with, Haitian reggae music, it was part of my childhood, I can say. But I have a father who loved country music. So I know a lot of country music too.
Okay. So music, well, again, that's a difficult one because I'm quite eclectic in my taste, depending on my mood. But right now, I'm listening to a lot of calypso because I'm teaching around that. So I have been doing a lot of research on the calypsos that I need to teach. It's an integrated arts program I'm doing at primary level. It's some 10 to 12-year-olds. So calypso is a lot. I listen to I've got a lot of African music on my playlist. I listen occasionally to jazz, but soulful jazz, so the Ellas and that kind of stuff, not abstract jazz. Can't do that. And what else am I listening to? Oh, so my young cousin, when I spend the weekends by them, she introduces me to a lot of the Burna Boys and that sort of music now. So I have my youth musical education.
Where is Calypso from?
Calypso is from here.
Really?
Canada. Yes.
How
The land of
do
Calypso.
you know it's Calypso music?
Calypso is, Fela Kuti, right? Fela Kuti, his music. So his music is socio-political, high life, Afrobeat. We call it Afrobeat. Well, Calypso is socio-political with a different music, a different style of music underneath it, but achieves the same thing. So the associated music to Calypso is soca. And soca is a faster beat per minute and not necessarily socio-political. So it's more party music. So it's what basically dancehall is to reggae. So reggae is socio-political, by and large. The Bob Marley, that side of reggae. And dancehall is the party side of that. Yeah. What the beat that's coming in that's very popular now, because Trinidad, I think we've had an influx, certainly, you were asking about our Africanness here, and the increasing recognition of that is that now a lot of our calypso music is incorporating Afrobeats. That's becoming quite big underneath the soca. So we're having and that's really interesting. That's really fun play, and doing that connection back to Africa through the calypso, through the soca music. It's been very interesting to see that develop. So I think the awareness of people of their Africanness is increasing. Music is playing a big part of bringing those worlds together, for sure.
That's beautiful.
Olu shared some insight to the traditional music of her region.
I love inspirational music. I love it. But in Yoruba land, we have juju music, we have Fuji music, we have Apala music. Those are the kind, and we have our traditional drums that we beat. We have our traditional instruments that we use. But in our song is different from Yoruba song. It's very different. And our song is predominantly Owo, only Owo people. So if I sing our song in Lagos, they cannot understand me. Yes.
Let's hear from Judy and Kenya and Belen from Peru sharing their musical experiences.
I like gospel songs. You can find me listening like other beats, like the Afrobeats, the bongo, those kinds of songs. Now, as for me, I love gospel songs. And the reason for loving this gospel song is because I refer myself as a Christian. And we Christians, we prefer listening to gospel songs. And those songs usually be of glorifying God. That's why we refer them as gospel songs, songs of glorifying the living God. There are gospel songs in our language now. The Kambas, you find that there are those people, like people from TZ, Tanzania, usually sing in Kiswahili. But now the people in Ukambani sing the gospel songs using our language now, the Kikamba language.
Okay, yeah, in that case, I play the guitar. So I like to create my own chords and all that, like creating my own melodies. But I really love the Beatles music. Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. But if we are talking about the Peruvian music, I will say I've been raised with that national types of music and dances. There are many. La Marinera is one of our main dances. In school, I used to practice it every day, and my aunts used to have her dance studio for that dance. And it was something really amazing. I learned about it. The costumes are beautiful. And while dancing, you can research about its history, and you can see how it has evolution between the years that have been over the years. Yeah.
One of my guests is Mike Crenshaw, a well-known lyricist and MC here in Portland and beyond. And we did talk about music for a long time. I thought the best way to share was to play a song from a beloved project he is part of called Rebel Wise. So at the end of this part of the storybook, stay tuned. So let's talk about food. Everyone lit up when we started talking about home cooking and the food that represented their family or their tribe. Everyone had something that was a favorite they wanted to share with me. Here's Belen again from Peru talking about this cultural, emotional connection we have with food. And then Andrea sharing about the enormously eclectic foods from Trinidad that seem to draw from everywhere but are truly unique to Trinidad. And then we have Rachel beaming as she shares about Ugandan food.
Yes, I'm going to study in Boston. So when I went there to experience a few months there, I started missing my pollo a la brasa. That's one of our main dishes here, and it's like really delicious. I've been like raised with that dish every time, like eating it like every Sunday, because it's really delicious. It's something that is part of our culture. Another dish that it's also very known here that my grandmother knows to do it like really well is something called lomo saltado. Like many people who came from another countries and all that, they like record videos of it, like trying that dish, and they love it because it's like a dish that is unique, and it's something that have like a mix of emotions. Like when you eat it, you feel like it's a dish that is unique. You cannot find it in another place that is in Peru. Like
good. I explained to you the complexity of our ethnicities, right? So I could not tell you one dish that is Trinidadian, because our curry, our Trinidad curry, is not the same curry that you'll find in India. It is Trinidad curry. Our pilau, or even paella or one pot or whatever, it's not the same that you would find anywhere. Our Saturday soup, right? Filled with corn and dumplings and cassava and sweet potato and pumpkin, and is not, it even has its own name, Saturday soup. Everybody cooks it on a Saturday. Our Chinese food, you will never find that in China, right? It is a Trinidad Chinese food, right? Now we have a lot of Lebanese and Syrians opening up, what do you call it? They have gyros, right? I don't know if you have gyros there. So it's like, the kebab things so that's becoming quite big. So that's now becoming part of our street food culture. And we have doubles and aloo pie, which is potato pie. And I could go roti and obviously there's our blue food, our dashin and yam, and our callaloo. You cannot name one thing that is, you could say Trinidad is bacon shark, bacon saltfish. Yeah, it's salted fish cut up, flaked and cooked up with tomatoes and onions and stuff. Put that inside of a bake, smoked herring, do the same. So it's like we've taken from everybody who's been brought here under restraints or have come here as colonizers or as visitors. We've taken it, we've mixed it up, and we've created Trinidad cuisine, which is second to none.
Because there's like so many different tribes, so many different food. But the most easiest one that anyone, if you went to Uganda or Kampala, the first thing that you will get is matoke, which is literally green banana, which they've been saying is going out of extinction, but Uganda is still good at it. So it's green banana called matoke, and I like to mix it with these millet flour. So you grind it into, it's called kalo, and it's like doughy. And then you have some beans, or you can have it with peanut paste or some lamb that is boiled, not fried, boiled. There's this little pans that they have at home where they, so with the matoke, the green banana, because of the tradition, the way they cook it is they wrap it in fibers. And when they're wrapping, they can put like the meat in a box and then wrap it still. And it's just it's amazing. The thing with Ugandan food is it's not fatty. It tends to not have a lot of spices. It's only of recent with the intermarriages that they're bringing in spices. But it's just the most... Oh, and I forgot chapati. Chapati any day. Yes.
That sounds really good. I always get hungry in this part of the interview.
The way Ugandans eat their meals is a concoction of everything. So it's none of these nicely plated plates where you see, the rice is on one. No, it's the more mixture there is on the plate, the better.
So good. When Alain spoke about food, he talked about the Caribbean and Filipino dishes like lumpia and chicken adobo, and things like eating lasagna regularly and purple ice cream. What really moved me was this cultural experience around eating and the generosity. I bet you can relate to this experience.
I mean, more than the food, the way the food was served is how I know food. Like poor people sometimes are the most generous with food. And the way that we would eat, quite often, you were just given a plate and you just had these giant bowl pots with just like a ladle in there, and you just take what you need. You've got the like a spinach dish. You have like takadal. That's one of my mum's big dishes that she makes. Incredible takadal. So you get some of that. You get some rice. You get some chicken, and you help yourself. There's no need to ask permission. You pass these big bowls around, or you go and you get and you eat as much as you want. So I was raised like that. So when I go places and your plate's there and you eat your plate and there is nothing more, I'm just confused. I'm like, did you not cook more? Am I not allowed to eat it? Are you saving that for somebody else? Like, we are like Tupperware dons out here. If you don't leave with Tupperware, you ain't hanging out with Filipinos. Like, it's mandatory. You eat and you leave with food in a Tupperware, standard. And, my mum be throwing food at you. Like, she's cooking for grandchildren she ain't had yet. Like, my freezer's full of dishes that I don't even know what they are anymore. They're just frozen goodness.
In case you missed that, he said that his mother cooks for grandchildren she hasn't even had yet. Next is Mike, Olu, and Andrea. They talk about the intimate connections we have with food and where it comes from. Remember that Olu and Andrea are farmers and gardeners. Along with our relationship with food, there is a reckoning many of us are facing with our own health. And yes, it can get political. It is well documented now that food insecurity and lack of access to healthy food is happening in different ways all over the world, in some ways way more extreme than others. Here in the States, there is a growing attention on health conditions and diseases that are related to the ways our communities eat that don't work for us. There's also a growing movement of Black farmers and gardeners who are committed to change our relationship with the land, how we create resources, and the health that's a result of this way of life.
It's my belief that soul food is home cooking because you grew up eating it the way that it was made in your home by the people who those recipes were passed down to. And often it was women who had certain ways of cooking the staples, the greens, the macaroni and cheese, the different kind of meat, whether it was chicken or turkey or beef or pork, whether it was roasted or stewed or smoked or barbecued, all the different salads and the cornbread and all the different things that you grow up eating. For me, when I would go to other people, even if it was other Black people's cookouts or parties or gatherings, I would be kind of like afraid to eat theirs because I didn't know if it was made the same way my people made theirs. So it's a very intimate relationship because you're gonna put that in your mouth. You weren't in the kitchen when they cooked that. You don't know how they wash their food, and sometimes it wouldn't be good. Sometimes it'd be nasty, but then you wouldn't want to be rude, so you'd be trying to figure out how you can get rid of it without anybody seeing. But sometimes you come across something that was real good, and you'd be like, "Man, that tastes like my mom's greens," or that, and you're like, "Oh, that sense of kinship, it brings you closer." Every now and then, you might actually come across somebody who did something better than your people did it, and then you get humbled by that, But none of that had anything to do with a restaurant or money changing hands. That's home. That's the environment that you were raised in, and so. And it's a trip though, Alexandra, because a lot of these things we come to find, some of these things were healthy, right? So like grandma and them, they all talked about pot liquor. And that was the juice that you cooked the greens in. And then it was something that the elders would drink. They would save that and drink that because it was nutrient rich. And, they talk about the love, like the science has actually discovered, if you if you put love energy into the food you eat, then it is more nurturing for your body. But then a lot of the food we traditionally ate was high fat, high salt, high cholesterol. And a lot of it had been, some of the vegetables had been cooked for so long that the nutrients would leave. And that a lot of those diets, traditional diets for my people, led to a lot of the diseases that are the most prominent in our community: heart disease, diabetes, colon cancer. And so a lot of us are having to rediscover or retrain ourselves in terms of what we put in our mouths and what we put in our bodies and how we enjoy food. And looking at that in the context of surviving white supremacy in this current time, it is part of, I think, emergent Black food sovereignty movements and the politicization of food, and understanding how our bodies have been politicized through the habits and what we consume and what's available, and trying to get more in touch with our relationship with the land and being part of tending to the land, so that what we take from the land and put in our bodies is part of our self-determination and part of our survival and part of our health.
We have a food bank with the support from one of my friends. We have a training center. We built a center, support from another friend too. And during COVID, we were able to support thousands of families. I was using Facebook to fundraise thousands with food stuff. And as at then, the government of Nigeria had palliatives, and they were hidden in their personal private warehouses. They refused to give our people, and our people were dying. So I came on Facebook and I said, I was not afraid of COVID, but I was afraid of hunger. Hunger will kill us before COVID will. So my friends on Facebook, they began to donate, and we were running the food bank 24 hours. I was sleeping in the office for 3 months. So when people come, they will always meet food at my doorstep. And they were coming from far and near, riding on boats, on canoe, and people were trekking, covering kilometers. So after COVID, people began to support me. So one day a lady came and she said, I want to make your dream come true. I smiled because it was like a surprise. How can somebody say she wanted to make my dream come true? And she asked me, what is that thing you think you will never be able to do on earth? My sister, one thing I think I will never be able to do was send my daughter to study abroad. I wanted it, but I will never be able to do it. But I told her I wanted a sister city, a city for women alone, a city where women will walk in and they will have peace of mind. They will have a place to sleep and they will have free food. A place where there will be saunas, there will be faunas, there will be trees and fruits and vegetables and food for free. And she told me, how do you want it? And I explained to her, because it has been my dream, I had all my facts. And that day she said, tomorrow go buy land, let us make it a reality. My sister, within 6 months, I built Sister City. We were able to furnish Sister City, able to equip, and it became a free space for sisters. We built the training facility. I was able to buy 40 acres of farm, and now we have started building our factory where we produce 5 different kinds of foods so that we'll be able to sustain whatever program we want.
When I came home, one of the things that was important to me was knowing where my food came from. And my mother always had a kitchen garden. But as she was getting older, obviously that became less and less so. So I decided, having looked in the shops for organic food, you know, in England, you could get everything you want, and not finding food that I could trust, and knowing that the farmers here were using a lot of pesticides, I decided to extend the garden and start growing my own food. So that's what I did. And it's addictive. It is the best thing. I mean, I should have moved home years ago and get into agriculture, because I love getting my hands in the dirt. I love planting and growing, seeing it grow and reap. It's a very spiritual thing. And because it's not something that happens overnight, growth, and it teaches a lot of it teaches a lot of stuff, because you could plant some seeds and they die, nothing comes, and that time is, and then you plant them and they start to grow, and then they could die still, and and then some grow and they grow full bloom, and it's about, my key thing was about understanding the soil, the foundation, understanding how to build soil and how soils are depleted, and what we have to do to start putting back in, to get something out, so is that it teaches you patience, because things don't grow, they take 2 months, 3 months, 8 months, 9 months, a year, 5 years in some fruit trees and stuff to grow. So it teaches you patience, and it teaches you, therefore, in patience, the fact that you have to nurture. You have to know what it needs. You have to know when it needs it, to put it in, so that you could get something out. So there's so many parallels about life and how we live and what we should do in relationships, because that's what we have in our plants, a relationship. We want to get something at the end out of it, and we need to know how to nurture it, feed it, give it life, keep it alive, so that it could do that. So it teaches a lot. It's very, 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 that's why I say it's my church. It's a very, very spiritual thing. That's the other thing, as you mentioned, that is that for the 6 years I've been here, I can see how the climate has changed and how the plants are reacting strangely, differently, as the seasons go on. And it's like you cannot trust things from one season to the other. You might be successful one season, and the next season you're doing the same thing, and you're thinking, why am I not getting, So, but food security is going to be a key issue very soon, if not already. And so it's important that we all have our little something, start putting in your freezer, for those days.
Land nourishes us. It's an integral part of our existence. Belin, Mike, and Olu share about the healing nature of the land we find ourselves on and the importance of the spiritual connection. Also, Mike shares an acknowledgement and wisdom about our current situation as people in the States living on the land.
Yes. Since I was really young, I've been going to the beach or going to the forest or going to many different landscapes. And I've always feel that connection of meditation and reflection. When I go there, I can find truly myself. And I think that's something amazing for me. Also, that connections also gave me the possibility to see another ability I have, that is for photography. I have a lot of photos of landscapes here in Peru that are extremely beautiful. And every time I want to relax myself, I can see that photos and I can feel that internal peace. That it's amazing.
The land here is what allowed me to make a commitment to stay here, because I grew up. Some of the most magical moments in my life in early childhood were going on road trips and getting to see the land outside of the community that I lived in and far away across the country and in different states, and to see the wilderness. And so I fell in love with mountains and wild landscapes as a child on road trips and hiking in the forest and so forth. So by the time I moved here, to find that I was an hour from the old grove, an hour from the mountains, over a little over an hour from the high desert, a little over an hour from the ocean. The natural beauty here really, I fell in love with it, and the ease of access that I had to natural beauty here far exceeded that in the Midwest. I had to go a lot further to find this kind of natural wonder in the Midwest. So I've always loved the land here. There are aspects of this place that are dear to me because in terms of the natural beauty, I get to reset in very deep ways when I go out into nature. I can be having a bad day or a bad few weeks or be, dealing with depression or struggling with relationships. And then I can go out and take a hike and breathe deeply and sweat and then feel like way better, So those are the ways in which I'm personally connected to the land, what I love about being here and my subjective experience. There's a broader question about being the descendants of forcibly displaced and enslaved Africans on land that was inhabited and is still inhabited by First Nations, indigenous people from different ethnic groups across this continent that people call American Indians or Native Americans, and being in relationship with people from different Native backgrounds and communities wherever I've lived. Actually, I didn't really have a lot of Native friends in Chicago, but by the time I was in Minnesota, I started to have friends who were Native, and then having to be aware of the common history that we have that was part of this colonial construct that was imposed on our people historically. One for the Africans who were stolen and displaced, and then for the Native people here who are still surviving genocide and who were displaced as part of that process. And so being aware that there's this thing that ties us together is something that it's just part of my consciousness, and then to move out here and to be in community and have strong Native brothers and sisters as part of my community, part of my friendships and chosen family has just been something that has been a quiet part of how I get down and relate socially, but it's become more politicized lately in public discourse to the extent that they're for different reasons. Some are apologists, some are not genuine, some are political for reasons that have more to do with people wanting to continue to operate and their interests related to the status quo and to create window dressing to make it look like they're doing something. These sometimes, land acknowledgements that have become popular in recent history feel very performative. And so I'm just aware that the contradictions that continue to reinforce systems of oppression that are very destructive in the lives of my people operate parallel in the lives of Native Americans. And so there are questions about, when you say, how are you connected to the land? I can't talk about what I love about being here and my sense of place here without also talking about those things.
Yes, and I love my land. I revere my land. We believe that we are the land. So this land, my mother is living inside the land, and my father lives inside the land. My father has been there for more than 45 years, and my mother is there. So when I'm walking on the land, I know I'm walking on my mother's house. I don't destroy the land. I don't use fertilizer. I don't use chemicals because my mother lives inside the land. Yes, we believe that if we take care of the land will take care of us. We respect our soil. We respect our land.
This is the end of part 5 of the Afro Storybook. May your belly be full, the land you stand on support you, and good vibes inspire you to dance. But don't go yet, because this part ends with a song featuring Mike Crenshaw. Turn up the volume and enjoy Through the Dawn by Rebel Wise.
No need for police, no bosses and no chiefs. No World War III, just more world peace. Good people free to think and do as we please. The trees are green and the breeze from the sea is clean. Technology advances with the spiritual direction. We please our ancestors and receive protection. My family's content and my kids are confident. Problems aren't prominent, things are looking promising. I'll be working on vacay, I'll be grinding every day. I'm awake in the A-frame, I'll be finding my A-game. You can't find me no place, cause I'll be flying away. When I'm riding my apes hang, that just brightens my day. Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Ocean. The planet is dripping, my soul is in motion. Overseas floating, that poetry is potent. Thoughts are focused globally, my lane is open.
We will rise, yeah, we will rise, we will ride until the end. We will find, yeah, we will find. All we need is all within. As we rise, rise and hold on through the dawn. We will find our way home.
It's 2020 and my vision is focused. Come a long way from saying picture me rolling to picture me holding my grandchild, protecting, providing for. I'ma sincerely sacrifice for those I'm prouding for. Now to the future, I'ma send these prayers up, cause they timeless, great mystery. We learning to trust in the guidance and remember elder wisdom to listen in the silence on this sacred path. Facing your fear is the only promise. Living in times of transition and living in times of change. Given that Mother Earth's hurting, there's really no time to waste. Giving responsibility, giving our children's lives at stake. Never resigned to fate, giving this mission to find a way. Around the world, we play our part to make a difference. All connected with intention, with opportunity we give it. Though we born into the system based on illusion and division, this direction that we choosing is manifested from the vision. Yeah, I pledge allegiance to my family and send these prayers from the heart. I pledge allegiance to the phoenix. Let these prayers be the spark as we rise. One chapter ends, one begins. We will find a way home. Yeah. All we need is within.
We will rise, yeah, we will rise, we will ride until the end. We will find.
Afro Storybook, collective wisdom and revelations from Africa and her diaspora. I'm your host, producer, and editor, Alexandra Loves, Irowiosa. You can find me at themoongardentemple.com or on IG at Tranquil Badassery. This is a production of the Moon Garden Temple and the Woke Wisdom Podcast. Please go to www.wokewisdompodcast.com or on IG, Woke Wisdom Podcast, to learn more about the Storybook and my guests. My guests are Elaine Fusion Clapham, Judy Kalunga Kwabwele, Mike Crenshaw, Bailin Ramirez, Jibori Abla Yvette, Jekamala Diabate, Rachel Bashabe, Andrea Sugar Black Encinas, and Olutosin Oladoshu Adebwale. Special thanks to the Portland Regional Arts Council for the initial funding of this project. And also special thanks to Seven Vision Studios for technical help and Quincy Davis for sharing his original compositions for the theme music and soundscaping for this storybook. Please consider supporting this project and future audio projects by subscribing to Woke Wisdom Podcast on Patreon. Thank you for listening and be blessed.